Hey y'all, and welcome to my day. Come and hang out with me for a little while. I'm starting the day by cleaning up the kitchen a little bit. We had gotten home late the night before and we had supper late, tidied up just a little bit, but there were still some things that needed to be done. I knew I had plans to spend some time in the kitchen today, and so I wanted to make sure everything was clean before I got started. This makes it a more enjoyable experience. So I'm going to get these things done. I'm going to put away some dishes, load the dishwasher, get some things off the countertop, wipe everything down. And then the plan for today is it started with the idea of wanting to have chicken and dumplings for supper. And I thought, this is how it usually goes when I make chicken dishes. If I'm going to make chicken and dumplings, let's make chicken broth. I was out of chicken broth in the pantry anyway, so let's make some extra chicken broth, can it, and put it in the pantry. You can absolutely make chicken and dumplings with some store-bought chicken broth and a couple of chicken breasts. We have our own homegrown chickens, so I knew I wanted to use one of those. Make some broth, can the broth, and then have some of it with the chicken to make chicken and dumplings. I thought I'd show y'all what that whole process looked like, from chicken and some vegetables, making chicken broth, all the way to having chicken and dumplings for dinner. Show you how I make my chicken and dumplings. And I thought, if I'm going to do that, I'll just bring you through the day with me. So that's what I'm going to do. The main idea, I guess, the video is making and canning chicken broth and how I make homemade chicken and dumplings. But just come spend the day with me. Come and hang out for a little while. I'm going to go ahead and get some chicken broth going. We'll use the chicken and some of the broth for our chicken and dumplings this afternoon. And then I'm going to go ahead, it's still pretty early, I'm going to get it started now so that I can also can the extra broth. We're out of broth in the pantry. I've still got some in the freezer, but we're out in the pantry. So we're going to restock that today. You could absolutely do this with, talking about chicken and dumplings, with some store-bought chicken broth and a couple of chicken breasts. But we have our chickens that we processed, and I just love being able to just customize the broth, put the flavors in it that we want. So I make my own, and it's not that hard. It just takes a little time. This chicken is still frozen, so I've got to get it out of the packaging. Normally we would already be started with schoolwork by now, but we got home late last night from a ball game, had supper late, cleaned up the kitchen a little bit, but there was still more that needed to be done this morning, and I didn't want to start any of this stuff without the kitchen being cleaned up. So we're going to get this going, then we'll start our schoolwork in a minute. This is some carrot peels and onion peels that I had. And I peeled the carrots and the onions. I just saved the peel and I can use that in broth. The last batch I made, I had some garlic scapes from the garden, and I put those in, and it was delicious. This knife is not sharp. And it was delicious. I'll put these skins from this garlic in here too. But this time, I'm going to use some of this elephant garlic. I'm just cutting it into some big chunks. I put the skin in there too, but just cutting it into some big chunks for that garlic flavor. If you don't like garlic, you don't put it in there. I mean, that's the beauty of making it yourself. I want to get this started, and then I thought you might just want to hang out with us today as this is cooking. Then we'll can it, and then tonight we'll make chicken and dumplings. I gotta put some water in it. I'll bring that to a boil, and then once it starts boiling good, I'll reduce it to a simmer, and we'll let it simmer for a few hours. I have before let it go for a few hours, taken the meat off the bones, put the bones back in, and then even simmered it all night long. But I think I'm going to let it go for a few hours and then go ahead and can it today. I wanted to include a few clips from our school day, just a few. I actually have it on my list to film a video talking about why we homeschool, what it looks like for us, what we've been using this year, and how it's been working for us. Haven't quite gotten around to it yet, but it's on my list and it'll be coming soon. But I wanted to include a few clips from our day. Right here, Huddy is working on his English, and this is his first online class, and he has really loved it and has thrived. Just doing the one online course and everything else parent-led has worked good for us because it allows me to work on something else while he's doing this, but I still try to be close enough that if he has questions, I can help him. He's really enjoyed the online course though, and getting to sit down, watch the teacher for 20 minutes or so a day, and then do his worksheet and just change things up a little bit. So that's been working really well for him. I came in here to fold clothes for a second while the kids are working on some other things. The boys are drawing a horse barn, and then they're gonna get started on their English. The little boys are playing with their dinosaurs. And so before I'm needed in there again, I thought I'd come here and fold some clothes. And I wanted to share something with you that Justin shared in a Sunday school devotion here recently. And to answer a question that I get asked often, it's if Justin is a pastor. Justin is not currently pastoring a church. He is a preacher, and he preaches often at different churches. He'll go and guest preach at churches. He'll go speak at events. But he is not currently pastoring a church. Just being very prayerful about where God would have us and what he'd have us doing. When we're at our home church, before we go into Sunday school, oftentimes he'll do a Sunday school devotion. And a couple of weeks ago, he said something that really stood out to me. I thought I'd share it with you. Maybe somebody else needs to hear it too. But what he said was, oftentimes we say things like, that took me by surprise. That was unexpected. Caught me off guard. But you know who never says that? God. Because to him, nothing is a surprise. Nothing catches him off guard. And we can find comfort in that. When things don't go how we would have planned it, when things surprise us, when we go through things that are hard, we can know that it wasn't a surprise to God. That the God that we love and serve holds tomorrow in his hands. And the Bible tells us that he wants good for those that love him. He will work things for the good of those that love and serve him. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean we're always going to understand it. I've had things in my life where it caught me off guard. It surprised me. It was hard things. And I thought, is any good going to come from this? It's hard to see coming out on the other side. You know, when you're right there in the middle of it, it's hard to see what it would be like coming out on the other side. But then God worked in it. And there are some things, that we may never fully understand. We may just have to continue walking through the hard, whether it's loss or sickness or whatever it is. But we can find comfort in the fact that it wasn't a surprise to God. He knew exactly what was going to happen. and he will work things for the good of those that love and serve him, even if that feels hard to understand. Right now, we can find comfort in knowing that, and knowing that he's in control. I don't know how I missed this when I was cleaning them, but this jar has a crack in it, and I am not going to chance that in the pressure canner. So what I've been doing is filling up my jars with my broth. I took the chicken out, set it to the side, and it's cooling. And I'm just running this broth through a strainer. It still leaves some of the pieces in there. I mean, you could run it through cheesecloth or something if you wanted. Oh, made a mess. We don't mind, you know, whatever might go through that strainer. Seasonings or little pieces of vegetable or something. It's fine with us. So I'm just running it through the strainer, putting it in my jars, and I'm going to pressure can it. That jar had a crack in it, so I'm not going to use it. That's okay though. I'll put these in the pressure canner and it'll leave enough in there for what we need tonight. And I'm using my 4 jars flats because they're just the best. I guess I could have used that other one. That'd be okay. It's not sponsored. I just really enjoy using them. And if I can share that with you and then give you a discount code, it's even better, right? David is out here on the tractor. Thought I'd try to get a clip of him on the tractor to include it for you. He's working on the spot where our greens and our garlic are gonna go. Also looks like we got one chicken that got left out. They were out earlier and we fed them and put them up, and we got one that didn't get put up. So I'm gonna get a little feed so I can put her in. Oh, here they come. There's just something about a spot of fresh dirt ready to plant. It just looks so nice, so inviting. Like I want to put some seeds in the ground. I'm not gonna walk all the way out there, but he got a spot ready right back here. And I gotta go in and finish up chicken and dumplings. As supper time rolled around, it was really loud in my house. So I decided I would do a voiceover for this and show you how I'm making the chicken and dumplings. So I'm starting with a quart of that chicken broth from what we made earlier, a quart of water, and a quart of milk. Now, I'm doing it this way because I already have my broth. Oh, and there's a stick of butter. I'm doing it this way because I already have my broth and I already have my chicken cooked. If you do not have your chicken cooked, and you're needing to start from raw chicken, you could follow the video where I made chicken soup with my mama, chicken noodle soup. I'll link it for you. We did that not long ago. And you could do it that way, but instead of adding the egg noodles at the end, you could add the dumplings. It's so quick and easy though when you already have your chicken ready and you already have your chicken broth. this meal comes together so fast. I just put all of that in the pot with some salt and pepper. That's going to be heating up while I'm making the dough for my dumplings. And you can use your favorite biscuit dough recipe. I have 2 cups of self-rising flour, a couple tablespoons of lard, and a couple tablespoons of butter. And I'm just working that butter and lard into the flour with a fork and then with my hand, because they're the best tools. God gave them to us. Let's use them. And then I add milk until the dough comes together. I usually don't measure it, probably about a cup or so. I just put in a little bit at a time until, like I said, the dough comes together. All of the flour is absorbed and you've got a nice dough. And then there's a couple things you can do with that. So you could either roll it out and cut it. That's how Mama Della, that's how they used to always do it. They would make long strips and then we would drop those into our hot liquid. I wanted like big fluffy dumplings today, so I am pinching off pieces and dropping them in. It just depends on what mood I'm in. Sometimes I roll it out and do a thin strip and put those in, and sometimes I pinch it off and do a bigger dumpling. Either way, you put them in, you let it go for about 15 more minutes. They'll puff up really big and then they'll condense down and make a delicious dumpling. I did add some more salt and pepper here. And you'll see I also have a little helper that came in. Y'all knew he was going to come in and help. He loves it. So that's his little hands adding in some dumplings. And then instead of stirring them, I just gently push them down in the liquid so that I don't tear them all apart. A little extra salt and pepper. And then dinner was served. And y'all, it was delicious. I also took some of that Slap Yo Mama seasoning. David shared that with me a while back, and I've been loving it on all the things. And so I put some of it on my dumplings, and they were delicious. I walked out here to see if y'all could see this beautiful sunset this afternoon. A beautiful Alabama sunset. We had a good dinner. Dumplings were delicious. Happy to have some more chicken broth to put in my pantry. And I think I hear a little garden thing going off. If y'all heard that beeping, that's what it was. It's supposed to scare things out of the garden. But anyway, it's over there next to Audrey's, a little raised bed. Anyway, my plan for the rest of the night is to help Mom in the camper for a while. We're like this close to the camper being done. I can't wait to share that with you and show you. I mean, it's been a complete renovation of that camper. It's pretty amazing. And once we're finished, I've been taking some clips here and there, some pictures here and there, so that once it's done, I can walk you through and show you what it looks like, some before and after, and show you some clips of the process. So, yeah, we've been keeping some clips of that as we go. So hopefully very soon I'll be able to share that video with you. But I'm going to go ahead and close this one out. I love you. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.